This week, The Athletic released a poll interviewing 12 decision makers in the National Football League, asking them, would you rather have Micah Parsons or a pair of extra first round draft picks for the next 2 seasons? 10 of them saying, we want Micah Parsons, with the other two saying it depends on the situation. And all 12 answers to me are correct. I would rather have Micah Parsons over two first round draft picks any day of the week. It's not absurd to say that because he's a game wrecker. He's one of the best young talents we've seen in 4 seasons. He has 52 and a half sacks. He's been nothing short of spectacular. But when you look at the decision of, hey, well, what is happening with this team? What is the situation we're in? Trading away Micah Parsons for two first round draft picks and Kenny Clark was unequivocally the correct answer for Dallas. When you look at this roster, 2 years ago they had this exact roster assembled. But instead of having George Pickens, they had a better version of Brandon Cooks. And ultimately, what did Dallas do? Well, they lost in the playoffs. They didn't achieve their ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl. And now you add on top of that, they would have to pay three players $140 million per year. They aren't coming close to winning the Super Bowl, even though all three are currently in their prime. And so when I look at this situation for Dallas, trading Micah was a correct decision because even when they had him, they had glaring issues like stopping the run, which they have addressed with adding Kenny Clark. Now they're giving up only about 100 yards per game. They're playing really good football in that position area or in that element of football. With Micah Parsons, obviously the team would be much better, right? Micah Parsons would add an extra element. They would have a true pass rush and maybe would elevate players like Marshawn Nealon to take a step up. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a Super Bowl contending roster. When you look at Green Bay, adding Micah Parsons for two firsts and Kenny Clark was, again, unequivocally the correct answer. Because when you look at Green Bay, they're in win now mode. They're a younger team that can foot the bill for Micah Parsons and really go out there and maximize this window, even though they're paying Jordan Love $55 million. Another underrated element of this Green Bay roster is the players they are paying outside Jordan Love are players at non-premium positions. Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, two excellent players, but Josh Jacobs, a running back, won't be commanding north of 40 million like the top wide receivers do. Green Bay just built a roster out that can afford Micah Parsons and to really elevate their game because of it without giving up anything on the roster. So overall, it's an A-plus trade for both sides. When looking at this game tonight between Dallas and Green Bay's favored by 6 points right now. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a game that is going to come down to the wire more than people may think. And the main reason being is because Deron Bland is back and he's healthy for Dallas. He's been their most important position or most important player on this Cowboys defense this season. And it's shown because of the years prior where he was contending for Defensive Player of the Year because of his game-wrecking interceptions and pick sixes. When the Eagles played Dallas in week one, it was a very close match, a game that surprised many people. And that's because, well, Dallas hung in there and they played good defense against Philadelphia, limiting Saquon and obviously limiting the passing game. Jalen Hurts only threw for 152 yards, and A.J. Brown had one target to end the game. And a lot of that is because of Deron Bland. His ability to elevate the secondary is something that not many players can do on any team. Trayvon Diggs is still nursing an injury, but when Deron Bland is there, it takes off the pressure off of Trayvon Diggs. It takes the pressure off the other players in the secondary. By Deron Bland being healthy, I think they're going to keep this Packers offense somewhat in check because, well, Green Bay doesn't have a world beater receiving corps. They know how to find open holes and gaps and exploit weak secondaries, but when tasked with going against tough secondaries, i.e., the Browns last week, they struggle. They struggle to get open. They struggle to make big plays. Now there's no Romeo Dobbs. I think this Dallas secondary is going to play really good football against Green Bay's offense because they just don't have a top receiver yet. Maybe Golden becomes that, but he's not there yet. Deron Bland is a player that is going to elevate this team. And if you want to look at the numbers, I mean, when they played the Giants, Dallas gave up 450 yards passing to Russell Wilson. When they played Caleb Williams, it looked like the best game he's ever played in his life. 298 yards, 4 touchdowns for Chicago that game. But there is no Deron Bland. With Bland back and healthy, this secondary is going to keep Green Bay in line. Now you look at the flip side of the teams, and you look at Dallas and what they have brewing on offense. Well, there's a lot of problems, a lot of issues with this team because three of the most important players are out for the game. CeeDee Lamb, obviously being numero uno, he's a top flight wide receiver, one who is incredible. And he elevates George Pickens, he elevates Jalen Tolbert, he elevates Turpin, he makes the team overall much better. Now you take out CeeDee Lamb, and then you look at the offensive line. Now missing Tyler Booker, one of their best, one of the better first round draft picks this year. You take out the starting center and Cooper Beebe, who's been out now his second week of potentially 7 weeks. And this team offensively doesn't look as potent and as scary as you anticipate it being. I think it's going to be tough sledding for Dallas because the receivers, as much as I love George Pickens, he's not a true wide receiver one. He struggles with running a solid route tree. He struggles at being an overall great wide receiver. So you take out the top receiver who's going to hurt Pickens, it's going to hurt Turpin, and then you take out two of the better interior offensive linemen, and that's going to hurt the rushing game with Javonte Williams in the backfield and with Miles Sanders in the backfield. And it's obviously going to allow more pressure to come at Dak Prescott. Overall, this game is going to be one where I think it's going to start off a little bit lower scoring, and ultimately, I think Green Bay does prevail, winning the game about 24 to, I would say, 14 points. Okay, and it's solely based off the idea of Dallas is missing their top receiver, and Green Bay will just have enough to finally mount some scoring. But again, I expect it to be on the lower scoring side because what did we talk about with Dallas? Their rush defense has really elevated since the Micah Parsons trade because they brought in Kenny Clark and they made it a point to stop and limit the running game. I do think Josh Jacobs does ram his way into a couple big gains like he always does, 8 to 10 yards rushes, but ultimately. And ultimately, it's going to prevail Green Bay to win the matchup. But I do think it's going to be because of a slower pace game. Heck, I could even see it being 20 to 14. I just don't think points will be a preview in this matchup. Um, but yeah, I'm going with Green Bay winning the game, but it's going to be a lot closer than people think. And Micah Parsons will probably record a sack, okay, in all likelihood, because he's finally off his snap count. He's not playing limited snaps. And going forward, I am excited to see how does this defense do and how does Micah Parsons do when he is playing full snap count? Because when you're playing full snap count, you're clearly not going to be 100% every single play. So overall, I have Dallas losing this game to Green Bay, and like I said before the trade or during the trade, and like I'm saying a month after the trade, it was a win-win trade, a trade that was needed for Green Bay to finally elevate to Super Bowl contention, and a trade that was needed for Dallas to hit the reset button and allow for them to build out this team to compete for the Super Bowl. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.